Well, good morning, everybody. This is the Town of Hempstead Board meeting for October 1st, 2020. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman D'Esposito. Here. Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Here.
Councilman Muscarella.
Yeah. I now ask Councilman Muscarella to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start the public hearings, I'm going to have the record reflect the tentative budget has been given to the town clerk, and the town clerk is now going to have a staff member distribute it, or the town clerk is going to distribute it to each of the council people. Thank you, town clerk.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Get to know.
That'll be the day. I'm giving one to Steve. He likes to look over it real.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Because of the governor's executive orders and because of COVID-19 pandemic, today's public hearings will allow for both in-person participation and telephonic participation using the GoToWebinar. The instructions for the telephonic participation using GoToWebinar, as well as all the pertinent documents regarding today's public hearings, are on the town's website. After the clerk calls each public hearing, the public who are at Town Hall will first make their comments, and then our participants on the GoToWebinar will be asked to comment. All participants on the GoToWebinar must pay attention to the case being called by our town clerk. When the public hearing is called on which you wish to speak, you must click our favorite raise your hand icon button at the GoToWebinar as explained to in the instructions on the town's website. If you do not click the raise your hand button when the public hearing which you speak is being called, you will not be called upon. All participants on the GoToWebinar must and will be muted until the moderator calls your name to speak. You must pay attention for your name and begin speaking when your name is called, or the moderator will go on to the next participant. The moderator will not recall anyone's name, so please just pay attention. If you are participating in the GoToWebinar and watching on the live stream, then you must mute the live stream when you turn to speak, or we will not understand you because of the feedback issues. Every participant will be given one chance to speak for 3 minutes in accordance with the town board rules. When you are done speaking and your time is up, the moderator will mute you again on the GoToWebinar. At the end of the public hearing portions of the meeting, the GoToWebinar will be turned off, and I encourage all those who are using the GoToWebinar to continue listening and watching the meeting on the town's live stream webpage. Please note that anyone using profanity straying completely off topic will be immediately dropped by the moderator. In addition, any participants who are coming to the public to speak, we ask you to please be respectful of the policies and procedures we have put in place with COVID-19, as when a speaker is completed or their time is up, they're asked to leave the area and not rush back to the stage. With that, I'm going to ask the Madam Clerk, please call the first public hearing.
The first public hearing we have today is a local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Belmore, Elmont, and Oceanside.
Is there anyone here at Town Hall that wishes to be heard on this public hearing? All right. If you are participating on the GoToWebinar, please click the raise your hand button as described in the instructions on the website. I will now ask our moderator if anybody has raised their hand.
Supervisor, no participant clicked raise your hands on this public hearing.
Okay. Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this matter? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
I second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Aye. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the next item?
It's a proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Belmore, East Meadow, Elmont, Merrick, and Oceanside.
Is there anyone here at Town Hall that wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay, at this point, we're going to go over to our moderator, and if you're on the GoToWebinar, if you would please click the raise your hand icon at this time, and we'll see if our moderator has anybody doing that. Mr. Moderator.
Supervisor, no participant clicked raise your hand on these public hearings.
Superb job, Mr. Moderator. Does any board member wish to be heard on this matter? If not, may I please have a motion?
Make a motion that we close the hearing and the item be adopted.
I second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Belmore, Elmont, Franklin Square, near Island Park, Oceanside, and West Hempstead.
Does anybody here at Town Hall wish to be heard on this matter? If not, and you're participating in the go-to webinar, please click the raise your hand button at this time, and we'll give a minute here, sir, a couple seconds to our moderator to let us know if anybody has clicked their hand. Mr. Moderator.
Supervisor, no participant clicked raise your hand on this public hearing.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this matter? If not, may I have a motion?
Motion we close the hearing and this item be adopted. Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding fire zones in Oceanside.
Is there anyone here at Town Hall that wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay, Mr. Moderator, now I'm going to click it over to you when we go to the go-to webinar to see if anybody has raised their hand to participate on this one. Any luck?
Supervisor, no participant clicked raise your hand on this public hearing.
Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? If not, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the next item?
We have the application of Sunrise Development Incorporated to rezone from Residence B District to Business X District in order to facilitate development of an assisted living facility designed to meet the needs of the senior population in the existing community of Oceanside.
I know we have the applicant's attorney here. If he could please state his name and address for the record, I appreciate it.
Good morning, Mr. Supervisor, council members, town clerk. Chris Cascignano from the offices of Sonward Cascignano, PLLC, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, 11553, on behalf of Sunrise Senior Living. Proceed?
If you'd like to, please.
Sure. With me is Philip Kroskin, the Senior VP of Real Estate of Sunrise Senior Living. I'm also joined by Nick Capadora, an attorney in my firm, who will be helping me with the presentation, and Robert Aiello of JMC Engineering, our site engineer, and Andy English, who is our architect, and Andrew Velarde, who is from Stonefield Engineering, our traffic engineer. I'm going to introduce Mr. Capadora to go through the application and the particulars, and then I'll be introducing the other members of our team. Nick, if you will start the siting of the property.
Before he does, every time we have a speaker up, we are going to be having a wipe down procedure. So I just ask, you have a couple of people doing the presentation. After they're done, just give a second for our coworkers to wipe that down. Great. Just your name and address for the record each time. Thank you all.
Good morning, Mr. Supervisor, honorable members of the board. Nicholas Capadora from Sonward Cascignano. To orient you with the subject premises, the premises is located on the northwest corner of Atlantic Avenue and Terrell Avenue in Oceanside. It's known on the Nassau County tax map as Section 38, Block 400, lots 465 and 476. The entire premises is 2.84 acres. It's currently split zone with the first approximately 100 feet of frontage along Atlantic Zone Business X, and the remaining portion of the premises, which is about 1.84 acres, is Zone Residence B. So that specific rear portion of the premises is what is the subject of today's hearing. It's currently Zone Residence B, and we are looking for it. We're requesting that the town board approve it for a rezoning to Business X, which would make the entire premises Business X. The premises is partially located in a FEMA flood zone, AE9. It's partially in Zone X. So again, I just touched on this. The relief we're requesting today is for the rear 1.8 acre portion, currently Zone Res B, to be zoned Business X to facilitate the development of a premier assisted living facility, which is designed to meet the needs of the senior and aging population in the Oceanside community. As a housekeeping item, the applicant's also requesting that the town board repeal certain covenants and restrictions from 2005 that were recorded against the property, which were in connection with a prior CA residence rezoning. That was for 56 condominium units to be developed. That project was abandoned and is no longer viable. And should the board approve the application, we'd work with the town and the town attorney to craft new covenants and restrictions that would tailor this new assisted living development. Again, the applicant, Sunrise, is a first-class developer and operator of senior living communities. They have more than 325 communities worldwide, internationally. They do have a large footprint in Long Island. They have 2 existing communities in town, Lynbrook and East Meadow. You'll hear a little more about Sunrise's operations from Philip Kroskin, Senior VP, in a few moments. But this rezoning request before the board today is the first step in the approval process to develop this 3-story, 85-unit assisted living community. The board previously adopted a negative declaration and a determination of non-significance pursuant to SECRA at your February 25th meeting, and determined that the proposed action would not have a significant effect on the environment. I have a copy of the resolution. I'll hand it up along with some other documentation at the end of my remarks. The Nassau County Planning Commission issued a local determination pursuant to 239M of the General Municipal Law at its March 12th meeting. I have a copy of that resolution as well. I wanted to touch briefly on, you'll hear more about the site and the engineered site plan from Rob Aiello in a few minutes, but we did meet with the Oceanside Fire District earlier this year, beginning in January. We have several very positive, productive meetings with them, and out of those meetings with the chief's office and their fire inspector, we made several improvements and modifications to the fire access and emergency plan, including adding remote connections near the utility room, which the fire district had asked for, ladders on the vertical face of the roof to provide easy access in case they need to access that roof, mountable curbs so they can get ladders and trucks closer to the building if they need to mount the curb. Raise the portico to accommodate clearance for their ambulances. We put Knox boxes in, which will allow them to get blueprints and plans and keys to the property, and a secondary emergency crash gate access, which we put along Terrell Avenue to access the rear of the building. So I just wanted to let the board know that we did meet and have those meetings, and we did receive no comment letter or a letter from the Oceanside Fire District stating that the plans were satisfactory to them. I have a copy of that correspondence. I'll hand it up to the board, and you'll hear a little more about the site plans in a few minutes. As for the rezoning and the benefits of the project, basically, we're respectfully requesting that the board legislatively rezone this to make the entire site Business X and allow the proceeding of a first-class assisted living facility. Business X is the prevalent zoning designation for parcels abutting north and south on Atlantic Avenue, and they generally extend traditionally about 100 feet deep, which is the way this parcel right now is zoned. Over the years, and as individual parcels have been developed, the business zoning designation has been extended in several instances to accommodate larger, more modern commercial developments along the Atlantic Avenue corridor. I'm sure the board's aware of how that corridor has been developed as of late. So this rezoning application is in keeping with that trend, and we needed to effectuate this development of a site that's long been vacant and not well kept, and it will be developed with this beautiful facility, which we'll see in a few moments. It's also, we want to stress, it's although it's a rezoning to a business district, the proposed use, the assisted living use, is really more akin to a residential type use. It's designed to be harmonious with the existing neighboring residential community. Site plan exceeds the minimum front, side, and rear yard setbacks required in the business zone. All the parking is going to be located in the front of the site, away from any residences. And there's a very detailed and well-developed landscaping plan to provide thick screening along the side and rear yards of the premises where there's any residences. And I just want to note there's a couple of residences here that may speak later. At 2825 Elm Street, we met with them and spoke to them, and we added additional shrubbing and trees and landscaping along their rear yard to satisfy some comments they had. We want to be, Sunrise wants to be a good neighbor and make everyone happy that has to live with them. So with that concludes my remarks. Unless the board has any questions, I'll hand it back to Chris. Okay.
Before he goes on there, does any member of the board have any questions right now?
Supervisor, I'll wait till the entire presentation to ask questions.
Okay. Chris, you'll just designate who's going to come up next so we can just wipe it down. We just have to be a little sensitive to that, okay?
Thank you. Mr. Supervisor, just wanted to follow up on what Mr. Capadora said. We've had a good working relationship with the community at large. Still open to anything that they would have in mind that we could give to them to make the project even better. So anything your board or the community comes back to us with, we will try and implement as quickly as we possibly can. And on that vein, I'd like to introduce Philip Kroskin. He's the Senior VP of Real Estate at Sunrise. He's going to give you a relatively, we're going to try and be brief in general, but he's going to give you a brief overview of the company and their commitment to the area. Philip?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the board, my name is Philip Kroskin. I'm a Senior Vice President for Sunrise Senior Living, located in 7902 West Park Avenue in McLean, Virginia. I've been an employee at Sunrise for more than 11 years, representing the growth of the company. It's something that I'm extremely proud of. It's something that has become a passion for us because of what we do and how we care for seniors throughout our community. Before I get into the company real quick, just one additional comment. We also, for the adjacent neighbors, after we looked at that, moved the generator that was on the ground level up to the rooftop of the building. So those are additional accommodations that we made. I'd like to talk to you guys afterwards. So Sunrise, I hope you all know us. We've been on Long Island for about 30 years. We have 10 buildings on the island. We just opened up our newest building in Huntington, 2-story, 90-unit building, beautifully done. Great support from all of our adjacent neighbors, to great support from the town of Huntington. We look forward to having similar relationships with our neighbors and with the town as we go forward. Obviously, we have 2 other buildings, as mentioned, in your community. We have currently about 330 buildings throughout the world and many other under construction. So our business is a needs-based business. We're very aware that people necessarily don't want to go to assisted living. They need to go to assisted living. And whenever I'm talking to anybody in the political realm, I try to recognize that the difficulties that politicians have relative to their citizenry is ensuring that they have all the services that they need. Assisted living is a critical service for community, just like daycare would be for community. It allows people the dignity to be able to age in their community, near their loved ones, while their loved ones can have dignity and grace as they go through the balance of their life. Sunrise is considered one of the top providers of assisted living in the country. We have a stellar reputation, and I believe that after you see the presentation today from our board, I hope that you're as proud of it as we are. We put an enormous amount of effort into our buildings to ensure that while we love to say that they're great for the adjacent neighbors, the reality is we're building buildings for our residents who live there. And it has to be a place that they're comfortable and it's home-like, and it's part of the care model, that when they show up into this building, they feel like they are in a place that cares for them and it's something that's meaningful to them, and that's important. So that benefit that they get ultimately is the benefit for the community. So I look forward to answering any questions to the extent that you have any, and having our team present the rest of the project to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any board member have any questions right now? Nope. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, at this point, Rob Aiello is our site engineer, and he will cover the site for the board and explain the layout of the property. After that, we have our architect and our traffic engineer, and we'll try to keep those portions of the application brief, answering any questions you have. The traffic engineer has submitted a report as well. So at this point, Rob Aiello is our site engineer, and he will speak. Rob?
Okay.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, Mr. Supervisor, members of the Town Board. My name is Rob Aiello. I'm a civil engineer and partner with the firm of JMC, and we've had the privilege of working on over 20 Sunrise communities over the past 20 years. The site plan up on the screen shows the 2.84 acre property with Atlantic Avenue along the bottom of the screen and Terrell Avenue going off to the upper right of the screen. So the access for the property will be provided from a new driveway on Atlantic Avenue at just above the words Atlantic Avenue on the rendering. And there is a 52-car parking lot located in the southwest portion of the property. There are 52 spaces in that parking lot. The 3-story, 85-unit assisted living community building is located in the northeast portion of the property. So in terms of traffic circulation, when you enter the property, you'll be either able to drive to the right to a porte-cochere, which is a drop-off area where you can drop off mom or dad at the front door, let them go into the building, and then you can pull out and go park in the parking lot located in the southwest corner. As we approach each Sunrise design process, we remember, as Philip mentioned a moment ago, that this is a home for mom or dad. And every aspect of the design reflects items that are residential in scale. The extensive landscaping throughout the property is intended and on purpose to provide a residential feel and character. The parking spaces in the parking lot are broken up, so you typically have no more than 5 or 6 parking spaces before having trees or landscaping. And then there are a variety of different spaces that are created, particularly on this project in the back of the building, behind the middle of the portion, which includes an outdoor garden and an area where there are outdoor activities for the residents, including shade structures, the ability for them to do gardening with mobile planting areas, and a number of benches and sidewalks throughout the site. The site will include a privacy fence along the westerly, northerly portions of the property, and it will also include a metal picket fence with brick piers along the Atlantic Avenue and Terrell Avenue frontages, again, to provide that residential feel and tone. As Philip mentioned, and as Nick mentioned, we have also included additional landscaping from the plan that you have currently up on the screen along the back left property line to provide additional screening. And the generator in that little northwest triangle has also been relocated to the top of the building to remove that as a site feature. There is also a access drive for fire in the back right corner. It's shown in gray on this rendering just so you can understand where it's located, but in fact, it will be gated and it will be a grass paved, reinforced grass turf, so it won't appear as a new driveway. It will appear as a lawn. That is the overview of the site plan and the landscape elements and the design approach. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, I think we're going to have the full presentation. A couple of town board members will ask questions then, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Cascignano, you could just designate who you want to come up next.
Yeah, Mr. English, our architect, will come up next.
Great.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Andy English, and I am with EGA Architects located in Newburyport, Massachusetts. As Rob and Nick both mentioned, this is a 3-story, 85-unit senior living community. The first and second floors are dedicated to assisted living, while the third floor will be for memory care, all with associated commons areas such as living rooms, dining rooms, parlors, for the residents really to feel at home. The goal in the design of these communities is to create an environment that is as residential as possible, since these units will be these residents' homes, and to blend into the neighborhood. You can see from the image on the screen, to accomplish this on the exterior, the building is being designed in a casual arts and crafts vernacular, with gable and hip roofs similar to many houses in the area. The building will be 3 stories, but utilizing a variety of materials, colors, and forms such as gable, hip, and mansard roofs, along with dormers and wraparound porches with low slope roofs at ground level, really help to break the scale of the building down to relate to its residential surroundings. To accompany the lush landscaping, we've located all the mechanical equipment on the roof along with the generator. This shields all these pieces of equipment from view, and it also reduces the noise. Careful sighting and rich landscaping really bench the facility into the context and help to fade the building into the streetscape. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Ms. Caggiano, who's next?
Andrew Valari is our traffic engineer.
Awesome.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Andrew Valeri. It's V as in Victor, I-L-L-A-R-I. I'm a project manager at Stonefield Engineering and Design. We are the traffic engineer on behalf of the applicant. And understanding I'm the last expert witness you'll hear from, I'll keep it very brief. We think that this is a great application for the town. And why that is because of the type of use that you have here. It's a very low traffic generating use. And that may make sense because the residents that would be living here, they need some level of care. So they're not driving, they're not working, and that really goes back to how low of a traffic generating use this is. The amount of parking that we're provided is very commensurate with the other Sunrise facilities in North Lynbrook and East Meadow. So we think that although we're requesting a variance from the zoning board for parking, the amount of parking would be more than adequate to support the demand. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or from the town board or any of the public.
Okay. Mr. Caggiano, why don't we do the following? Why don't we see if we'll start. There are a number of residents here. We'll start with the town board. If you can have all your experts, on standby here for the designated. Why don't we start with any town board member questions, Starry? Or do you want to start with the residents?
Yeah, let's the residents.
Okay, I know a number of residents are here to speak on it. I know you've met with them, so let's go through the litany and see if any of them have any comments. And I apologize for mispronouncing any names. Mark? Exactly. How are you there? Right? Please come up to the mic there. One at a time, because he has to wipe down every single time. Is that? That's Mary Jane. That's still, Mary Jane might say, no, I want to go first. So there you go, Mary.
Hi, back again.
How are you?
Some of my questions have already been answered. I'm glad to hear about the generator on the roof. That was a concern. Distance from our fence to what they're going to do, I'm pleased to hear that, with the trees and the noise buffer. So people have been listening. How about the dumpsters? Where are they going to, as far as dumpsters go? We're a little concerned about that. And on the corner of Atlantic and Terrell, it's a stop sign now. So is there going to be a traffic light put in there for handling the amount of traffic, maybe? We have that, and that's basically it. Everything else was answered. You guys did a great job with my questions. I appreciate it,
It's good to hear.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. What I'll do is they'll wipe it down, and we'll have them come up and try and answer your questions, or start a conference.
Mark, do you want to say?
No, hold on.
Oh, okay. I think my husband wants to speak. Oh, thank you.
If we could put the site plan up again, please, the rendered site plan.
Sir, just before you answer a couple of those questions, Supervisor, if I may, I'm not sure who's here representing the Department of General Services. I will put it in a memo, but just I'd like to request to meet the constituents' concerns. If we could do a traffic study, I know Atlantic is not our jurisdiction, but Terrell is. Perhaps we could do a traffic study just to see if we could improve any of the traffic lights or stop signs or anything that we could do there with the increase in traffic.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, so regarding the location of the dumpster, if you can zoom in, please, if possible, on the upper portion, the northern portion of the parking lot. Yes, so the trash enclosure is that rectangular structure right in the moon-shaped portion of the parking lot. And that will be an enclosed dumpster with fencing and PVC privacy fence around it, and there will be landscaping and screening around the dumpster itself. In addition, there will be landscaping and screening along the fence line, a second fence on the property line, and we've actually added even more screening from the version of the drawing that is on the screen. So that is the location of the enclosure.
Okay. Oh, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm sorry, can you just go over that one more time? I'm trying to match it to the drawings that I have.
Sure. So you can see the 3 trees in the parking lot, and if you go just north of the bottom tree, you see the enclosure of the trash enclosure, that rectangular structure. Yep, okay. There it is.
Got it.
So the structure, the enclosure, the trash dumpster itself will have a fence around it immediately, screening it from view internally on the property. And then there will also be a fence, a privacy fence installed along the property line, the white line shown on the drawing. It'll go around the entire property line. And in addition, there will be screening planted on the Sunrise side of that fence. So the dumpster is in that location and will be screened both from within the site and also well screened from outside the site.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope that answered your question, and it is nice that, you know, Mr. Caccianano and his team have been communicating with you, so that's nice to hear. I'm now going to ask your husband if he would like to come up and have any questions. Name and address to the record, please.
Name is Mark Vlakancich, V as in Victor, L-A-C-A-N-C-I-C-H. Good morning, Mr. Supervisor and all of the board members. The comment I would like to make is they did a fabulous job on the landscaping. We are very happy with that, and we believe that this will be beneficial to the neighborhood. However, there is some concerns about the density of everything that seemed to be crammed in our area. This particular thing, there's some condos that are going to go up behind us on the other side of the dead-end street, I believe. And there's currently rental properties near the East Rockaway train station. So we're a little concerned about the congestion of the area. And basically, that's the concern I have right now. Other than that, we are very happy on what they did with landscaping. We met with the lawyer from the firm, and all I can say is we hope the supervisor and the board make the proper decision for our community and the residents. Thank you.
Thank you to you and your wife for taking the time to coming and giving your thoughts. And like I said, it's nice to know that they're communicating with you, you know, on a lot of the issues. So that's always a plus. Nick Capadora? Nick, you already spoke. You're one of the presenters, right? All right. Now, it comes up on this pad that I have a couple that I have to go through here. And since I see one of them is from Stanford, I know he's with you. Why don't we go to local board members? Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Supervisor. And Mr. Castagnano and your team from Sunrise, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for your communication over the last couple weeks with Oceanside residents who had concerns and voiced them at the last meeting, as well as through email. And I just, obviously I share their concerns about the congestion and the traffic in the Oceanside surrounding communities. There is development that's going on, but I will say after reviewing, I think assisted living probably has the least bit of effect on traffic. So that is a plus. So, I appreciate that. Just some questions I had jotted down. Compared to your two other sites in Limbrook and East Meadow, with the size of the parcel and the size of the building, are they pretty much the same as they are in both East Meadow and Limbrook?
Essentially the same, yes.
Okay. And how many jobs do you expect to create with Sunrise and Oceanside?
Mr. Kroskin can
Sure.
answer it in more detail, but I'll give you what we've spoken about, which is 120 full-time equivalent type jobs. If you would like him to elaborate, I can bring him up.
Sure.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to speak to that is because sometimes it can get confusing when we say 120. People think that that's the amount of people that would be in the building at any given time. We have 3 shifts. We're running generally at a full house. If the building is full, we've got 90, 95 residents. The first shift between 6:30 and 2:30 would be about 30 employees. The second shift from 2:30 to 11:30 would be about 25 employees. That ratchets down after dinner and after residents go to sleep, and then overnight about 4 employees. But when you look at the bulk of our full-time equivalent salaries that we're paying out for all of our full-time and part-time, it adds up to 120.
Thank you.
And just one further point on that, if I may, and that's why our parking calculation and our 52 spaces lays out in a manner that we think will be successful because of the shifts with the number of employees. It's not really, other than that, high trafficked, and it's not high parked. So when I conclude with the case, I was going to advise you we still have to make one stop at the Zoning Board of Appeals because of that parking calculation, so I might as well bring that up to you now.
Okay. Thank you. The rear yard, or I guess in the side yard, the areas that are closest to the homes, I know that the neighbors that are here expressed some concerns, and those were met. Just so I have an understanding, what's the distance between the building and the first home in the rear, and the building and the first home? I guess that would be off of Elm Street.
Mr. Aiello is going to speak to that.
Okay.
Six, 60 feet.
60 feet.
60, yeah.
Okay. So my biggest concern is obviously the fence that surrounds the assisted living. The one that's in the rear and on the side is going to be different so that it bounces any sound, or we're going to have higher. I know we said we have shrubbery and trees. I just want to make sure that the homes that are in the rear and the side are protected.
Yes, obviously we're enhancing the fencing as we agreed to with the neighbors. There's some very good fencing there now. The landscaping plan is meant to also accentuate that and buffer that. And if the town's further review or any residents have anything they would like in addition, we obviously would implement that immediately.
Perfect, thank you. And then lastly, I know you mentioned it at the beginning, You've met with the fire department, and obviously all the turn radiuses are fine for the rigs, both in the front and the back. And I thought I heard it, but I'm not certain. I know, did you add, you added Knox boxes to the?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, and Councilman, I wanted to thank the supervisor and the board and the town in general, the building department. In a very difficult time in the last 6 months, your offices have corresponded with us frequently. You've done an amazing job at making us feel like we were going to get to this point, even though your calendar was backlogged with so many things, and we know you have many backlogs. So you've done a phenomenal job. And Councilman, I didn't want to neglect the fact that you were involved in this application as soon as you heard about it and asked the appropriate questions, and your offices actually directed us to the fire district, and we had substantive meetings with the fire district, which proved very, very fruitful, and we're giving them exactly what they want. But the combination of working with the town through the COVID crisis and actually getting to this point is a compliment to the way you're doing things, and I wanted to thank you on behalf of the applicant.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're grateful. We're fortunate. We work with amazing people here in the town, and we work with them and the building department from anything sanitation, DGS. So that's nice, and I appreciate that you say that with the men and women that work here have done a tremendous job during this pandemic.
And it's absolutely true. And we were wondering, like all people do, when will we get there? When will we get there? Well, we'll get there. When things get normal, we'll get there. And we're here, and it's like a miracle that we're in the building having a hearing, so thank you.
I just want to say thank you as well. It was a great presentation, thorough. Again, thank you for answering the concerns of the constituents that were here at the last meeting and those who have reached out to my office. Obviously, this parcel of land has been vacant for some time now, and it's nice to see that there's going to be a change in Oceanside. I think it's a benefit for everyone, so thank you very much. Supervisor, I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Supervisor? Yeah, I just wanted to make a general comment as well. I thought it was a very well-organized presentation, and I think the members of the board appreciate that. And I want to compliment the community outreach. I think that's really important. I'd just like to make a general comment as to what one of the speakers said. On the town board, it's always a balancing act between not having development that has so much density that it hurts the character of a neighborhood, but at the same time, there has to be enough density so that it's economically viable. So I appreciate your comments, and it's something we think about all the time.
Councilwoman?
Thank you so much for the presentation, but there's one thing I didn't hear anything about that I would like to know. I'd like to know if you're preparing all foods in your facility.
Good.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yes, we have a commercial kitchen at the building with a chef, so all of the residents get 3 meals a day at the community, plus snacks and everything else. Just for your information, because this is assisted living and we're licensed as an RCFE, these units don't have kitchens. So they have the assisted living residents will have a small kitchenette with a refrigerator. The memory care residents will not even have that. So all their meals are prepared for them and provided to them on a daily basis.
Do you have someone who comes in who can tell the person what they can eat according to what their problems are?
We have, so all the residents are assessed prior to coming into the building, first and foremost for their care needs. This is an activities of daily living type of scenario: walking, bathing, dressing, eating, going to the bathroom, medication management. Most of these residents, when they do come to us, the average age is 87, 88, have multiple comorbidities and significant other issues. So our nursing staff works with them and our wellness staff works with them to guide both their daily activities, the care that we provide for them, as well as the food that we prepare for them. Each resident has we have a medical electronic health record system. So we take at the table, when the resident sits down with a tablet, we know that it's Mrs. Smith, and Mrs. Smith has specific dietary restrictions, and we could say, Mrs. Smith, today, for your dietary restrictions, these are all the things that we can provide you. And if she says, I don't like that, I'd like something else, our chef will cook that for her too.
Okay. So in other words, you have someone who has a degree who's making in foods and nutrition? Is that what you have? You have someone on staff who does that?
Yeah, we have a very, very comprehensive nutrition program throughout the entire company that's provided to each one of the buildings, and then each building has a unique specialist who is our dining services coordinator, who then takes care of each resident.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you're not serving the same food that you do in Massachusetts, because it's entirely different here.
I have a question. The building behind the development, I think it's number 28, Oceanside Development Group. What is there now, and what are they proposing?
I can only tell you what is there is a greenhouse. I can't speak to what they're proposing.
Okay. I know I have another resident that checked in that wanted to ask a question. Alex Jacobson, Mr. Jacobson?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I was going to answer Councilman Musgrove's question by saying that that neighbor is actually present and asked to speak, so I'll just turn the mic over to that.
Oh, okay.
To that property owner.
Oh, well, let me, before we give that property owner, is Mr. Jacobson here?
Yes.
I called you up, I just want to.
Good morning, Town Board, Mr. Supervisor. I'm Robert Litt from the Litt Law Group, 66 North Village Avenue, Rockville Center, New York. I am counsel on behalf of Oceanside Development Group, LLC, and Jackie Hell, who own property to the north and to the east of the applicant's property. And we're here today to essentially indicate the fact that we only became aware of this application in early September, and we immediately reached out to the town as well as to the applicant's counsel, and we had some initial discussions and as to what it could be done with the entire project. We are not here to object or oppose any of the plans of the applicant. We just would like to discuss further several issues and several concerns that my client has, who has a 1 acre property plus property to the north and to the east, as to several issues, in particular environmental, height of the walls, height of the buildings, height of the walls, traffic concerns, ingress and egress, as well as the covenant restrictions that were initially put in place back in 2005 regarding traffic and other issues regarding the property. We've had a very short period of time over the past 2 or 3 weeks to try to gather as much information in combination of the fact that we're still dealing with COVID issues and the holidays. We're still in the information gathering stage. Our goal here is to work with the town and with the applicant to put together a better project for the entire community, which would include Oceanside development. Again, we're respectfully requesting that, again, the project should move forward, but we do request that the decision be kept in reserve and the record open while we continue these discussions and our investigations as to these issues. Mr. Jacobson is here today as well. He's the principal of Oceanside Development, and he has some very brief comments. But again, I want to thank the board, and in particular Mr. Kovic and the people over the town as well for working with us, and more importantly, the applicants' counsels who've been talking to us regularly and making every effort to try to gather as much information as possible. I'd like to please hand the mic over to Mr. Jacobson. Thank you very much.
Morning, name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Alexander Jacobson at 613 Eagle Avenue, West Hempstead, New York is my office, Jacobson Realty. I'm a Baldwin resident. I'm here today because I represent Oceanside Development Group, which, as one of the board members recently asked, what is the plan for the north side of the property? We've been actively looking to involved, let's say, in this piece in Oceanside since 2006. We're very familiar with the restrictive covenants and traffic issues from 2005, and we just found out about this project, Labor Day weekend, we asked for a short adjournment in order to be able to investigate all the effects of this project on the community. My office has been in the community for a long time in Oceanside, and we have some significant concerns because this matter will be in front of this board in the near future to possibly look at, multiple dwellings on the north side of this project, which is just, I guess, 20 feet away from the property line. There's some height concerns that we have, as well as the raising of the property itself because it's in a floodplain. So we're looking for some additional time to have our experts tell us and examine these plans further. We haven't had much time to do so, and our goal is to work with this developer, again, to find the best possible project for Oceanside, because Oceanside has waited a very long time for something positive to happen at this location. So I am here representing, again, an adjoining property owner. We also have the control the house to the east. It's a little house on Elm Street. So we're here again looking for a little bit more time to work with the developer and see how we can benefit Oceanside and this project in one project as opposed to multiple projects that are taking place in Oceanside at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It seems from the residents' comments that the developer and their attorney are significantly good about outreach and communicating. So, I hope you exchange cards and there could be further communications after whatever decision or what we make today, or or reservation. But I think it's a nice plus. And Mr. Cascignano, I would hope you exchange and keep your lines of communication open.
Thank you.
Just a brief response on that topic, Mr. Supervisor. I just want to make it clear for the record, we have had some meetings, discussions. I want to be clear on the record that our application is what is before you today. This may be a nice idea, but it may be very well in its infancy. And this is our project, if you want to consider it as a phase one. We don't know that there will be a phase two. We really don't know if there'll be a meeting of the minds. So we have spent considerable time and money on this plan, and we want to stand by this plan, which we think works right now. With that said, and we'd like you to make your determination respectfully on this plan, but we are going to have dialogue. We would want to hear what the town says. We would want to hear what the community says. And my client has informed me that they could be amenable to a phase two, but only if that phase two was a contractual agreement that was reached, that the town was acceptable with, and that the residents in the community would embrace, because we don't want to give you something you don't want. So we think we have something everybody wants now, and we want to stand by this application, but we are very agreeable with talking to anybody, including Mr. Jacobson and Mr. Litt, to see if there's something else.
No, I absolutely understand. I think that's being very straightforward and letting the residents know that, too. That's the case. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I don't have any other in-person slips or requests to speak. Is there anyone else present at Town Hall that wants to speak on this hearing? Oh.
Just one quick comment back, very, very short and briefly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cascignano. I appreciate it. We did have an opportunity to briefly speak before today's meeting. Again, we're not here to oppose the applicant's project. We just like to continue vetting the project as is currently indicated on the phase one, or we want to call it the current project that's before the board today. And due to the fact that we had a short time period to review these documents, we just wanted some additional time. And that's why, again, we requested that the application be held in reserve and the record open while we continue reviewing the current information on the current project. Thank you very much.
Okay, gotcha. With that, I said no other anybody else here at Town Hall wishes to speak. I'm now going to turn over to our wonderful moderator at the GoTo webinar and see if anybody has raised their hand on this subject. Mr. Moderator?
Supervisor, at this time, no one has clicked raise their hand on this public hearing.
Thank you so much for letting us know. Any other questions of members of the board? If not, may I have a motion
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and we reserve decision on the application.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Mr. Moderator.
Supervisor, that was the last public hearing on today's calendar, so we just want to remind our participants that we will now be turning off GoToWebinar, and we invite and encourage them to please go to the Town of Hempstead's website to continue listening and watching to the board's meeting on live stream.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. And by the way, Mr. Kashignano and your team, we do appreciate with all the restrictions, it was a solid presentation with everything going on, and we appreciate the residents who also came with their comments. It's nice to see a development taking place where everyone's kind of talking about it. So that's a real plus. But thank you all, and thank you for understanding the restrictions. All right. Mr. Moderator, I'd be remiss if I didn't say outstanding job. Just you as well. All right. All right. Madam Clerk, would you please call the first case on the decision calendar?
The first decision is on the proposed amendment of Section 433 of Chapter 43 of the Building Zone Ordinance of the Town of Hempstead in relation to inclusion of certain parcels into the Neighborhood Business Overlay District near Lawrence in the Town of Hempstead.
And Supervisor, I have input on that matter for the town board. Specifically, about 45 minutes ago, my office received notification from the Nassau County Planning Commission with respect to our referral under 239M of the General Municipal Law. Specifically, the Planning Commission voted for local determination, meaning that there were no objections or modifications to the proposal. The legal significance of that is that we can go forward with the application, and in order to do that, we have to determine the CEQA neg deck first. Under CEQA, we have to make that determination before we make a final determination on the merits. The CEQA resolution is item number 24 on the administrative calendar. So I would suggest that before the board proceed to the decision in this matter, that the town clerk call number 24 on the administrative calendar, being the CEQA resolution.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that item 24 on the administrative calendar be taken out of order and put before the board right now.
Second.
Okay. Does anybody in the public here wish to speak on this modification and pulling only item number, was it 24, from the administrative calendar and calling only item 24 now to be heard on item number 24? All right. Any board member wish to be heard on that? All right. If not, may I have a motion?
The motion's on the table already. Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, so having adopted the negative declaration, we can proceed
No,
to...
we just moved to put it before us.
Oh, okay, go right ahead.
So now make a motion, or
Yes,
we need a motion?
I move that item 24 be adopted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
With that, Madam Clerk, I'm going to, Mr. Kelvin, if I'm correct, we are now going to recall item number 5 on the decision calendar.
Or number 6, yes.
Or number 6 on
The
the...
first decision, again, I'll read it for clarity. The decision involves a proposed amendment of Section 433 of Chapter 43 of the Building Zone Ordinance of the Town of Hempstead in relation to the inclusion of certain parcels into the Neighborhood Business Overlay District near Lawrence.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the proposed amendment be approved.
Okay. Have a second?
Is there a second? Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini. Councilman D'Esposito. Aye. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the decision calendar.
The second and last decision on the decision calendar involves the application of Janta Land Group, LLC, to operate a gasoline service station and convenience store as well as area, sign, and parking variance relief from the gasoline service station district in Inwood.
May I have a motion on this decision?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I have been informed by the town attorney that the building department and the town attorney are satisfied that all of the concerns they had with respect to this application have been resolved to the benefit of the town residents. So I move that we adopt this application. We approve it.
May I have a second?
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn? Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the administrative calendar.
All right, on the administrative calendar, we have items 8 through 34, excluding item number 24, which was previously adopted on that administrative calendar. I also have a resolution, one resolution that is of an urgent or emergency nature. That resolution is entitled the Resolution Appointing John J. Jufrey to the Town of Hempstead Board of Ethics. This will be item 35 on the administrative calendar.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Does any member wish to be heard on any items on the administrative calendar?
I do, Mr. Supervisor. With respect to item number 30, which is the proposed assessment roll for the Atlantic Beach Water Reclamation District, I would ask, Mr. Supervisor, that if this is passed, that it be put on the calendar to precede the budget. It is basically a clerical issue on our part, and that if it's called first, the people from Atlantic Beach do not have to sit here through the whole budget hearing. So that's the only comment I'd make. If we do approve it, that it be put before the budget and not after.
Thank you, Councilman Blakeman. Anybody?
Second. I don't know if it was a motion, but.
It's not a motion, it's just a
Request. Gotcha. Understood. Any other board member you heard on any of the administrative calendars? Okay. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on any of the administrative calendar items? With that, we have a number that Mr. Riccacci, I'll get to you, I promise you, okay? We're going to go through the listing of the number of people who have gotten it, and, Joe, can you give an update? Nothing on the administrative? No? Okay. All right, nobody signed in to do it. I think, Mr. Riccacci, you've indicated you would like to speak on the administrative calendar. If you would please walk over to the mic and give your full name and address, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. I just have a question about the urgent resolution on the Board of Ethics. Will this now make the Board of Ethics complete so they could start processing ethic inquiries?
Charles?
There is now a clear quorum on the Board of Ethics, and they have the legal right to proceed.
Okay, so then ethic inquiries that have been presented to the board in the past that haven't been processed according to the former town attorney Joe Robb because they didn't have 5, those can now proceed. Is that correct statement now?
The board can proceed with all within its jurisdiction under Chapter 38.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Does anybody else in the public wish to be heard on the administrative calendar? If you would please walk to the back of the mic and give your name and address, that would be awesome.
Diane Madden, Hempstead. Item number 20. Could someone explain to me what this is?
Mr. Salmon or Jonas Ella, would you please explain what that is?
Yes, Supervisor, in our collective bargaining arrangements with the union, there is a disciplinary board, and this is the appointment of a commissioner, Arthur Prim, from the Department of IT to that board.
I see. I'm assuming that's a different Arthur Prim than the Arthur R. Prim Jr. on item number 25, or is it one of the same?
Is that the same person? Yes, it is the same person.
Thank you. I'm going to propose something at this moment because what the taxpayers and residents many times complain about are the insiders getting jobs as opposed to other residents and taxpayers. And there's a solution for that. There are diverse consulting.
Is it anything particularly on the administrative calendar you're talking about right now?
Yes.
Okay. Which item is it you're referring to right now?
I'm referring to item number 19. There are diverse consulting firms that you can bring in.
Well, number 19 on the administrative calendar is authorizing an understanding with Molloy College to provide qualified discounts.
Oh, I'm sorry, number 20.
Okay, so you're appointing Artie Prim, that's a non-paid position. Is that accurate, Mr. Nacella?
Yes,
Right.
Supervisor, Mr. Prim would be serving. He would receive no additional compensation. No one would be receiving any compensation. It's required that it be a town employee, an existing town employee. Commissioners are generally regarded as in the best position to be able to function on the board because they routinely have to organize their own departments and deal with disciplinary matters within their own departments. No additional compensation, but additional work, I might add. So the suggestion that an insider is getting a job is unfounded.
Sorry.
That's interesting.
Mr. Chief of Staff, just to reiterate, this position needed to be filled by someone in an employee, correct?
That is correct. An employee of the town of Hempstead has to be filled by an employee of the town of Hempstead.
And that's the connection, because it is very important that this administration bring in an outside, diverse consulting firm to review their hiring and appointments in the best interest of the taxpayers and to fulfill, Supervisor, your promise to put taxpayers first. Number 29, can someone please tell me when the taxpayers will be provided with information on that preliminary budget?
Is that on the town website yet?
The tentative budget is on the website. It was on Tuesday. All the board members received copies at that point. After this resolution is passed, that tentative budget, if there were no changes, becomes the preliminary budget, which is an identical document, but it's just technically a preliminary budget that's presented at the hearing. I believe it's October 13th.
Okay. So it's been on the website since Tuesday? Huh. Awesome, Mr. Controller. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member of the public wish to be heard on the administrative calendar? Okay, if not, may I have a motion?
I move the entire administrative calendar with the exception of 24 that we've already passed. And we have one hand up, which is number 35.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye, with the exception of 28, which I abstain.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Great, that's the formal portion of our town board meeting, and it has now been adjourned if, Madam Clerk.
We adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Great, that's now been adjourned. We're now going to remain to listen to comments from the public. Let me check the public comment section here. First, we'll start with Felix Procacci. You give me name and address for the record, please?
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. Recently, the owners of the Woodmere Club filed a lawsuit in federal court against the town of Hempstead. The Newsday article states that the purpose of the lawsuit was to block the preservation of open land. Hempstead spokesperson said that the town board has been proactive to preserve and protect the environment throughout Hempstead. First, the owners are suing to protect their property rights. The new zone passed by the town board on June 23rd of this year targets just their property. This new zone adds regulations that will increase the cost of construction and maintenance of the property and significantly reduces the number of houses they can build. And since these regulations have not been imposed on any similar properties, it is clear the town is not being proactive. It wasn't until there was public outrage over the development of the Woodmere Club did the town take action. And this action was a series of building moratoriums that were found to be unconstitutional by the court. The new zone that targets just the Woodmere Club is essentially an indefinite moratorium on most of the property. In 2018, the town scheduled a public hearing to rezone all of the golf club properties, but this hearing was adjourned without date and was never brought back. The engineering report commissioned by the town to analyze the golf club zone stated the potential issues on the development of these golf courses is generally unknown at this time. Mass opposition to any development and a reluctance to acquire the land is what drove the town board to create this conservation zone. This zone is a land grab. It condemns most of the land without providing fair compensation. Instead of participating in a normal process set out by the Nassau County Planning Commission, which requires landowners to pay for all the engineering studies, the town board chose to use taxpayer money to subvert this process. There was no need for this to occur. From day one, the developers were willing to negotiate, but the town took the position as long as there was a threat of litigation or litigation, there'll be no meetings with the developers. Ironically, this past summer, Supervisor Clavin promised litigation if the tall electric poles in Garden City weren't removed, saying if there had to go to litigation, it will go to litigation. If the MTA and its contractors were to hold to the town's credo of not negotiating when there is a threat of litigation, the taxpayers may be faced with another costly and unnecessary lawsuit. And just in case Supervisor Clavin doesn't know, the Village of Garden City has retained counsel to protect their interest regarding this matter, so there is no need for the town to engage in another frivolous lawsuit. And I also ask that you put in writing exactly what the reason is for not having a tripod due to COVID-19, how those two issues are related, because you do have a lady sitting there with a tripod, and I'm not sure how that promotes the transmission of COVID-19. Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, I'm not going to comment because we are in litigation on any of the substance or lack thereof of that presentation, other than to say that Councilman D'Esposito and I worked very, very hard with the community, balancing everybody's interests in what we feel was the right decision at the right time.
Thank you, Councilman Blakeman. Next, I have a slip from Stu Kroll. Can you give your name and address for the record, please?
Stu Kroll, Great Neck. I spoke to a friend yesterday who runs a municipal shelter in Seattle, which of course is allegedly where some of this started in this country. He previously ran the animal care and control in Manhattan by the name of Ed Boakes. The Seattle shelter has been open now for 2 months, running an active TNR program. How is it possible that our shelter ignored the wishes of close to 50,000 citizens on a petition to keep the TNR program at the Hempstead shelter? Mr. Clavin, you have managed to increase the cost to taxpayers per cat and sharply reduce the number of cats being fixed. This has resulted in much suffering on the streets due to more cats giving birth. These additional cats are creating a nuisance to homeowners, which we will make them well aware of come next election day. Mr. Clavin, I must congratulate you in surpassing Laura Gillen and taking away the rights of taxpayers. What is the reason that emails will no longer be available to the public as a means of expressing their opinions to their elected officials? If it's too much trouble to read them, perhaps we can do it for you. This app was very clever on your part, not allowing for use during public comment. I will do everything possible to let citizens know that if they work and cannot attend, they cannot voice an opinion. Stay-at-home mothers have been silenced as well. Citizens need to know what has been done here. I would have hoped that someone on the board would have said this isn't right, but apparently integrity will have to be found elsewhere. Speaking of integrity, Mr. Clavin, I am tired of politicians breaking every campaign promise they make. You broke up the audience at Molloy College when you stated that favoritism and nepotism would have no part whatsoever in your administration. The audience laughed raucously. Groucho Marx never had a better one-liner. Maybe someone can explain to me why $750,000 in raises and promotions were given out with the public absent at a 10-minute post-pandemic meeting. You promised to improve shelter conditions. Apparently, you intend to accomplish this by shipping off cats to Massachusetts, Maryland, and God knows where else. Dogs were sent to Utica. Horrendous conditions awaited them. Upon being rescued by Ulster County canines, we didn't have the decency to financially step up and help them. Instead of bringing in qualified experts, we employ on a part-time basis an individual who lied about 4 out of 5 of her qualifications. She's being paid $55 an hour to equal her salary, a very clever move that has totally pulled the wool over our eyes. You said you would accept resignations from all of your commissioners. Well, I would guess that quite a number of them are here now, so this presents a golden opportunity to fulfill that campaign promise. We must now do whatever is necessary to let all citizens know that they have no voice. They think they do, but in reality, most of them simply check boxes on a ballot for either party that only cares about patronage jobs and votes. Mr. Clavin, please remember as your term nears its halfway point that to be on a par with Laura Gillen, you owe the shelter a fresh coat of paint. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Thanks for visiting us here in the town of Hempstead. I'd like to now ask to come up Maria Angen. Name and address, please, for the record. Thank you.
Maria Engel, Oceanside. This is my fourth time, I meant to say, at a town meeting. And my purpose has been, until now, to obtain FOIL documents that Wanda Animal Shelter has been withholding for 8 months now, vehemently insisting that they did not exist. Of the 4 requests for FOIL documents, the one dated 5/27/20, all 4 were denied. But as it turns out, that they do exist despite the denial of their existence. Among the Wanda Animal Shelter's denied requests are the so-called case view reports generated after the town's illegal seizure of my cat on 2/3/2020 under the guise of its TNR policy, trap, neuter, release, where R, as if release is actually adopt. Town of Hempstead boasts one of the highest adoption rate in the nation, and it takes pride in that. But doing it this way, seizing people's cats to boost their numbers, isn't the right way. While the town ignored and denied my request, it produced, and I suppose accidentally, I'm referring to FOIL requests, it produced another document, animal view report instead of case view report, and it's not insignificant. The distinction is significant. The animal view report shows under animal point in time, meaning exactly that that animal was there in time. It states that on 2/15/20 at 1:46 p.m., that's 12 days after my cat's seizure and disappearance, the following: size medium, animal condition appears normal, adult 1 to 6 years, which is her age range. How can my cat appear normal on 2/15 at 1:46 p.m. if she was never there as pretended by the shelter? And who creates a bogus document stating that she appears normal if she didn't appear normal, let alone if she was never there, as the town of Hempstead alleged? So in light of these documents confirming, and I have other documentation and proof that she was adopted, actually adopted, and that she was assigned adoption numbers, which the town refuses, the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter refuses to turn over. So in light of these documents confirming black on white that the animal shelter's denial was false all along, I ask that you, Supervisor Clavin, exercise your executive authority and order the Wanda Animal Shelter to immediately turn over my cat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Next, we'll ask Diane Madden.
Diane Madden, Hempstead. I've gotten a lot of text messages that, in fact, the budget is not online. I'm not able to check it myself at the moment, but I'm hoping that as I speak, someone who claimed it's online just confirms that. The pavilion occupancy, I understand, is over 260, yet the number of taxpayers welcome here are still only 10. Does anyone know? Because I see there's some empty public seats here, when that number will be increased? Supervisor Clavin, you said that you would be reviewing the contract with Central Vet in a month. It's been a month. I'm not sure if you've heard that they've already lost 3 cats in the parking lot, which means 3 cats went out intact right in their own parking lot. I'm assuming, because it's safe to assume, that animal control officers were never sent out to trap those cats, but I urge you to keep your word in this instance and review how this Central Vet contract is working. It's not. You're not meeting the demand that's out there. You've made circumstances much worse. Even your own town officials have taken in cats off the street. As far as the signs that you mounted just before this meeting and scrambled, not welcoming pets in the pavilion, first of all, you probably forget this as tax receiver. You certainly welcome pets in the tax receiver office. It seems like part of your campaign now is to keep animals out of everywhere, including the animal shelter, not in a good way, because you've left them on the street. Your retaliation is ugly, and it's hurtful, not to me. I could care less. It's like water off a duck's back. But you've hurt the taxpayers, you've hurt the animals, and this is the kind of behavior that you condemned of Laura Gillen with her policies that were spiteful and retaliatory. I am still waiting, and I'm not alone, for any good government reforms. I have given many proposals, which you've ignored. Your entire time as supervisor has been solely to use COVID to keep the public out and to give out items that you didn't pay for and use them as press and photo opportunities. I urge you to come up with some good government reforms and also to keep your promises.
Is there anybody else in the public that wishes to be heard
and
here
follow
today?
through.
Sir, if you can just give it a second, they're going to wipe down the mic and you can speak.
And by the
thank
way,
you, Ms. Madden, thank you so much.
I'd like to know
Ms.
the
Madden,
procedure for that
please.
microphone because
Thank
it
you,
seems
Ms.
to
Madden.
be different.
Thank you.
What you
Thank
did to Felix
Ms.
Procacci and allowed
Ms. Madden,
was bullying.
Please be respectful.
I am
Sir,
actually
if you can walk
respectful.
up
I'm
there.
asking what the
Thank you.
procedure is
Thank you so
for
much.
that microphone.
We are very appreciative
Because
of your
you all
comments, as
behaved
always.
like a bunch of school board.
Perhaps public safety,
school board
you're going to have to intervene.
bullies.
Please turn the mic off. If we can't follow the procedures.
Supervisor, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to point out so Ms. Madden can get back to the individuals that are texting her. HTTPS hempsteadnewyork.gov/town-financials-budget. The 21 budget is on there.
Thank you so much, Councilman, for showing that out. I appreciate it. Sir, if you'd walk on up there to the mic and give us your name and address, we'd be delighted to hear you speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Joseph Dina, Front Street, East Meadow. Good morning or afternoon, perhaps, to the supervisor and members of the board. We're living in stressful, unprecedented times, and I think sometimes it's important to pause and take note of things that we're grateful for. So on that note, I am grateful. As a brainstorming exercise to myself, I wrote some things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to be alive in the greatest country in the history of the world. I'm grateful for town leadership that puts the people first and works for good government. I'm grateful for a councilwoman who consistently gets reelected by her constituents because of the great job she does. I'm grateful for a councilman who, along with his brother, represent their communities by providing safe neighborhoods. For a councilman who consistently gets reelected, but should have won the congressional seat he ran for. I'm grateful for a councilman who was and always will be a proud Marine who served his country. I'm grateful for 2 councilmen who earned commendations as police officers working to protect all human lives. For a supervisor who prioritizes his family yet dedicates his service to lead the town through a pandemic, financial challenges, and other chaotic issues. I'm grateful for a supervisor who, in last year's debates, became the first person to propose privatizing the animal shelter, after which his opponents followed his lead. He was the first to obtain a privatization agreement for the feral cat section, with other sections possibly coming soon. I'm grateful for a supervisor and council who are leading the way for road improvements, such as Willoughby and Seaford, and Bayview and Belmore, with many more to come. In summary, I'm grateful for this leadership that not only advocates for animals, but advocates for the entire town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are
Thank you very
appreciative
much,
of
sir.
that. Very appreciative of those remarks, so thank you on behalf of everybody here. Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to be heard? If not, have a wonderful day. Please stay safe.